centralized pool, which is what you should have, right? But Jill, when she logs in, she will just see the pools that she works. She won't see the others. So I'm going to go ahead and work that pool. And by the way, I'm going to bring this in. The default is account name, but I'm going to bring it in by balance. $51 ticklers. This first patient has an alert note. Oh, it's our Candace Smith. This is the patient I do most of my demoing around. And she probably has the highest balance because I never post any payments to her. I'm actually going to skip her because I want someone that doesn't have quite as much garbage out there. Okay. Um, okay. Here's the flow of it. The collector sits down. The collector chooses the pool. The system feeds them each person that they want to that they need to work. The collector stays in this screen, and from this screen, the object is that the collector gets to look at every piece of information that they need to look at in order to make an intelligent decision as to what to do with this patient. So again, the object of the collector screen is to provide the collector every piece of information they need to make that decision without forcing her to look at other places, right? Once they review the account, they will choose an outcome. So I'm the collector. I sit down. It feeds me the first patient. I go, she's in the initial review pool. This is her address. She's single, etc. The guarantor is herself. Um, Her insurance is Medicaid of New York. By the way, this is a bad example because she shouldn't have Medicaid patients really shouldn't have patient responsible balances, but maybe she has money that was owed before she became Medicaid, right? So we could use this. Here's her balance. She has $2,598.40 that is overdue. Okay. Here's the statements we've sent her. We can go, the last statement went out on the 5th and everything else, we haven't sent her a statement because for whatever reason. Down here I'm going to just go back to this. Down here are the transactions, right? What I really want to look at is all patient responsible transactions, and I want to look at the audits. I want to see what was paid against those transactions. Remember, the audits link payments to the transactions. The payments just show payments. This is really the view I want to look at. So I can go, these finance charges, she hasn't done anything. We've had some Medicaid adjustments. Boy, this lady's really sad case. Okay. Now, I review the account. I choose outcome. Remember, there's the object. I sit down, I work my accounts, I review the account, I choose an outcome. These are the outcomes that are available in this pool. These are new delinquencies. We have only 3 choices. Remove them from collections for some reason, some extraneous reason. It's the doctor's sister. Patient died. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, not a good excuse. Tickler date cycle. Uh, oh, she did pay. I get the check sitting here. Finally, whatever. Or I talked to her yesterday and she promised me she's coming in, so I move her to tickler date cycle. If I move her to a tickler date cycle, I go, when do I want to look at her again? I want to look at her next. We'll look at her next week on the 8th. And what's going to happen? I'm going to show you the cycle. Is there's going to be a tickler date test. If she's paid by then, she won't be in that pool. But if she hasn't paid, she's going to appear in that tickler date pool. You with me? So I worked her. Now I'm going to work my next account. Same process. I look at her balance, owes me money. Holy cow, this is what she owes me. Outcome. Oh, well, I don't know anything about it. I'm just going to go ahead and go with my normal collection cycle. So instead of tickler date cycle, review from collections, I'm going to move her to the main collection cycle, which, by the way, is usually the most common choice. The other 2 are rarer occurrences, right? So let's look at that cycle. Now, by the way, I'm showing you the cycle because I want you to see how the system works. Your collectors don't need to keep looking at the cycles because they know what's happening. You with me? Everybody with me? Let's look at this cycle. By the way, do you remember I told you that there's a process that runs another process besides process new called process existing? Process existing's sole purpose is to execute steps on these ticklers. The next step on this tickler, the next step is in blue. It's an initial collection letter. So automatically tonight the system is going to send out, and how did we say the system does letters? It's a merge to word. So it will say, you know, dear whoever this was, Mrs. Jones, is something wrong? Our records indicate that you have a delinquent balance of $22.08 that has been due for 120 days. Please pay us, or we'll send Guido. Yeah. Usually it's this actually initial collection letter is pretty friendly. It's like, oh, is something wrong? You know, our records indicate that you haven't paid your bill. We accept MasterCard, Visa, Bank of America card, da da da. Please pay up. All right, so it's going to do that. It's going to send the letter, and then it'll automatically, because of process, that's how process existing works, it will drop down to the next step. The next step, in this case, is the elapsed days test, and we've got 12 days here, if you can see this. So it will wait 12 days, and after 12 days, it will do another delinquency test, i.e., we're giving 12 days for the patient to get the letter, send the money in, and us to post it. Now, if you work in a big practice and it takes you 12 days to check the mail, don't use 12 here. Use 24. Okay? But if it only takes you a couple days to check the mail, you can use 12 or 14 or whatever you want. Right? So, after 12 days, it'll do another delinquency test. If she paid the delinquent balance, it will automatically kick her out of collections. And what did we do? We spent 41 cents and maybe a minute to collect that $2,200. Right? We didn't have to run a report. We didn't have to do any auditing. I mean, 90% of collections is auditing. 10% is actually for the other systems, not us. For our systems, 100% is contact. Okay? So it will, if they are still delinquent, the system will drop down to initial call to patient pool. If I go out of here, one thing to remind you, I have to, if I don't exit out of that collection pool screen, which this one here, I'm going to go back into it. I was on this work screen. This is a sleight of hand. I should have paused. If I don't exit out of that, it won't go back into the pool I want to. So you have to really execute it. You have to exit back out and then launch the collector's work screen again. Okay? I did it real quickly because I'm used to the sleight of hand. Okay? With me? But now what I'm going to do is, you see I have some patients in here in this initial call to patient pool. Do you remember that the title of that pool, that was the 12 days elapsed test after they had the letter, was called initial call to patient pool? When I go into this pool, it's going to feed me the entries that are in this pool. These now, by the way, we always track what we've done, whether the system did it or we can put in our own notes. You with me? We can type. We can have free-form typing, yada, 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 yada. But now, after I review the account and their balance, this person owes me $24.60, etc., etc. Now when I click outcome, I have a different set of outcomes. Why do I have a different set of outcomes, Gordon? It's because I'm in a different pool. I'm in a different pool. Before it was a review pool. I had 3 outcomes. Now I'm not going to send an initial collection letter again. I'm too far past that. Now I'm at the predefined outcomes for this pool. So now we have different outcomes. And what I usually show here is I usually say, look, do you ever put patients on a payment plan? And I get 2 answers. No and yes. I get 1 or 2 answers. It's either no or yes. We do or we don't. If they say yes, I go, how do you monitor them? And they go, we don't. If they say no, I go, why? They go, because we can't monitor them. It doesn't help us. So I go, we give you the best of both worlds. You can put patients on your